My name is Bill Labrera, and with Pete Castardo, who's here to my left, we represent West Hudson Associates, fortunate enough to have been selected by the Board of Education to help them in the search for the superintendent. We began this work with the board in late May of last year, and the work that we have done is a series of outreach efforts where we conducted a survey with the board, sent it to the community, sent it to the faculty, took all of that information, and also had focus group meetings throughout the district with parents in different sites, and we also had meetings with people who work in the district. And then we brought that information back to the board. And then what the board did with us is decide on the language that would be used in the profile for the next candidate, which is on the website, as well as the profile of the community, which is also on the website. And then what we did was advertise. And we were fortunate, the district was fortunate to be able to have more than 40 talented people seek this position. And that as a number is a little smaller than searches have produced in the past, but what we have found in this search, and I think it's a reflection of the community as well as the district, is that the number or the percentage of people in the search was really quite high in terms of the people who we thought met the criteria and could present an interesting profile to be considered. So that's really the more important news as opposed to the overall number of candidates. And then what we did, that is what Peter and I did, is we met with 16 candidates out of the 40 we interviewed. And that's after a thorough review of their resume and some preliminary work that we did to do some reference checks. And then we came to the board and presented them with 8 candidates and told them that in the process of presenting 8 candidates to them, that was not an easy decision for us to make because we easily could have brought more. But what we tried to do was focus it as tightly as possible on the criteria, and the criteria was very clear about the importance in terms of experience. And so of the 8 people that we presented to the board, all of them are presently superintendents, and all of them have been involved in important work and have accomplishments that they certainly could share. They shared with us and shared with the board. So what the board did was interview 8 people, and they reduced the number from 8 to 4. And then what they asked, actually they reduced it from 8 to 3, and then asked those people to meet with principals, which they did, and to meet with central office, which they did. And then the board, through Peter, as well as Sean Boyce, took information from those meetings, and then the board came to a conclusion that they wanted to consider 2 people, and those 2 people are here this evening, and the first person is Chuck Sampson, and he's about to begin. What's important to us and important to the board is that those sheets of paper, please fill them out before you leave. That's additional information to the board so that they hear from you the things that you think are important about the people who are here this evening. We were going to use 3x5 cards, but the group is small enough that what we can do is just move without those cards. I will field the questions, and what we would ask you to do is to simply observe these rules, or this one rule. Everybody should have an opportunity to speak once before somebody speaks twice, and these really need to focus on questions more than statements so that we can get as many questions as possible inside this approximate hour that we have. And so what will happen next is Chuck Sampson is just going to give you a brief overview of who he is, what he's done, and then we will proceed with the questions. So as soon as Chuck is finished, I will take the questions. And this is where it's going to be a little difficult in the back for people in the front to hear you, or the reverse. So if you can and would like to speak, try to find a seat closer so that we don't have to use a microphone in every instance. Okay?
Does anyone need a sheet? Did not get one?
Yes. Please raise your hand for for that sheet. Now, while Peter's doing that,
And there'll be a box for
Chuck, would you like to
you
begin?
can drop them on the table
Okay.
back. James?
Peter, just hand them out so that Chuck can begin.
Well, good evening, folks. First and foremost, thank you for coming out tonight. What I thought I would do in the easiest possible manner to convey some information to you about my background, and then to talk a little bit about my ideas and my vision for the Freehold Regional High School District. And then obviously I know that the focus of this evening is a question and answer session, so I'll gladly take your questions once I finish that component of just a little brief overview and a brief presentation. I'm honored to be a finalist for this position and quite content to be here this evening, so thank you for coming out. I began my career as a high school social studies instructor at Livingston Public Schools in Essex County. I taught all levels at the high school, from our alternative school students to the AP program. Some of the accomplishments that I'm most proud of as a high school instructor were serving as an AP reader for the advanced placement exams, and being very involved in our professional development program at the Livingston Public Schools, where I was afforded the opportunity as a classroom instructor, multiple opportunities to teach various district in-services to other teachers, which was quite a rewarding experience. I was very immersed in the high school culture as a high school teacher, served as a class advisor, a club advisor, coached 3 seasons, and really enjoyed my time at the high school. From the Livingston Public Schools, I was named the K-12 Social Studies Supervisor at the West Orange Public Schools, also in Essex County. West Orange is a very large district, about 8,000 students, 11 buildings, very large area. So as a K-12 supervisor and kind of managing the scope of that district, I was able to kind of gather my first experience with a large budget and the nitty-gritty of managing kind of a wide number of folks in disparate places. Some of the accomplishments as a social studies supervisor that I'm most proud of were some of the community partnerships I was able to orchestrate. West Orange had a law firm by the name of Wolf & Sampson, one of the largest law firms in the state. We partnered with that law firm for an internship program for our students at West Orange that I oversaw. We also partnered with the North Museum, where we were able to have all 9th and 10th grade students spend at least one full day engaged in a curricular activity at the North Museum related to either modern world history or United States History 1, and we actually cycled through all of our teachers through the North Museum for training to help facilitate that with some of the specialists at the North Museum, and I orchestrated that partnership as well. After 3 years as the social studies supervisor at West Orange, created a position for me, which was I was the assistant principal for curricular initiatives, scheduling, and facilities oversight. We were in the process of a $30 million addition, and I was named the point person at the high school to oversee that addition, to work with the construction folks and to manage kind of the scope of the building and the logistics of that construction project. We were also named one of the 30 pilot districts in the state to pilot a service learning program, which I had the good fortune to coordinate for our junior class at West Orange. And when we put on that addition, we looked to alter the structure of our high school, and we created a school reconfiguration committee that I chaired, and we were charged with going out to about 15 other high schools across the state and observing some of the best practices and bringing that back to West Orange. And out of that came a team concept that we created for 9th grade students, where I had the good fortune to do the schedule so I could kind of control it. And we created pockets of 9th graders that traveled with core groups of 3 core teachers, so they had the same teacher for language arts, mathematics, and science, and it was very successful. And we also were awarded a $500,000 security grant where I oversaw the implementation of about 85 digital camera swipe cards. And it was a great experience in terms of just kind of in the unfortunate day and age of school security system being needed in a school, but having the opportunity to oversee that. From West Orange, I was named the principal of Cedar Grove High School, again in Essex County. Small school. What I'm most proud of from my time there was really engaging the community in the school. I took over at a time when a principal, the sitting principal, had been there for a number of years, and the vice principal had kind of been a team, retired together, went on to other jobs actually together. There had been an interim and a lot of turnover, and I came in and was really able, I think, to bring the community back into the schools and had a successful run there as a high school principal in a smaller school district. So I went from large to small, so it was an interesting dichotomy. And then I was named superintendent of the Verona Public Schools, where I'm currently in my third year as school superintendent. Some of the items that I'm most proud of there are really the development of a 5-year strategic plan heavily focused on professional development around the Understanding by Design framework. We've secured a $150,000 grant for our middle school for outreach programs for our parents, evening programs for parents on adolescents. We have really integrated data analysis into all that we do in terms of our instruction across the board. And I redeployed the administrative team without adding any administrators to the district to more effectively maximize the oversight of folks with instructional backgrounds, and very proud of that. We have formed a community resource committee there this past year, where we have about 80 community members with expertise that have registered to come into our classrooms and kind of accentuate the learning process for our students. And we were able to use stimulus money to redo all of our technology infrastructure in the past couple of years, from virtual servers throughout the district at no cost to the taxpayer, a new student information system, a new website, and things of that manner I'm most proud of in my time so far. I have just a brief overview of some of the process that I would follow if I were named superintendent of the Freehold Regional High School District. It's just a broad outline. Hopefully it gives you a little taste for how I process information, my vision for education, and the steps that I would take as superintendent of schools. My core areas of focus are always around student achievement. First and foremost, we are here for the kids. Everything we do should be funneled towards student achievement. Accountability at all levels of the system. Myself, first and foremost, being accountable and transparent as possible in terms of my actions. And acclimation, really becoming part of the school community and the broader community as well. Some of my major considerations would really be on 21st century learning, leveraging technology in a budget-neutral way to really expand the opportunities that are available to our students. You know, we've been very successful with programs, you know, like Skype, Moodle, wikis, things of that nature, to really break down the geographic barriers. As our budget considerations become tighter and tighter in the state of New Jersey, we really need to utilize technology to more effectively meet our student needs. And at the end of the day, our students are digital learners today. There's a great study that just came out from Stanford University that students are actually writing more today than they have ever written in the past, which runs counter to what folks think. But they're just doing it through 3,000 or so text messages a month. Maximizing the use of the budget. Last year in my school district, our state aid was reduced drastically, like everywhere across the state. You know, almost 5% of my budget was taken out from under us as well. So really putting our dollars to the smartest use possible. Assuring a consistent experience for all students. I think one of the areas where public schools fall off track most is that students have a very inconsistent experience on things that are outside of their control, whether it's teacher assignment, building assignment, program assignment. And I think it's incumbent upon us as school leaders to really make sure that we don't provide students don't all have the same experience, because they may be in different classes and so on. However, we need to make sure that we provide a consistent experience so that all students can maximize their potential, and all means all. And then for the Freehold Regional High School District, I would spend my first 90 days or so really looking at establishing a framework for a long-term strategic plan.